I want you to listen to what God has shared with you today. Without opinion, and without judgment, and without history coming to your forefront. Can you do that? All right, good. Okay, here we go. This is a new series of really trying to understand energy better, higher, brighter, so we can actually use it in a way that is productive. All right. There is nothing in this world that we can point to say, this is how tithing works. There's nothing in the world. And so many spiritual concepts we can point to and go, do you see that? That's that working. Do you see this? We all have those experiences. But with tithing, we don't. It is not that kind of energy. This is a world of manifest. So, tithing is spirit interacting, co-creating, supplying, and sustaining the manifest. Got it? So it is something that is spirit to matter. Matter is an illusion. I realize that. Science tells us that it does not exist. So I shall use the word manifest. So it is spirit to manifest. Spirit to the form that we see in the world around us. What we can see in our world about our relationship with God, we can see the need to have connection. We know there's an inner knowing with everyone, in everyone, that there is a greater creator that we want to be a part of. It's innate within us. So we can see it through cultures throughout history. Do you realize that every culture that was ever stumbled upon had a god? They all had a deity that they worshipped in some way. They had sometimes it was Mother Earth, but it was still an unknown being. And every culture had this connection where they knew they needed to connect with this greater creator. And they would have people designed to be the priests or the shamans or the this or the that would step into that space of connection. You see? And a lot of them culturally would go to sacrifice. They would sacrifice animals, they would sacrifice people, they would sacrifice food, blah, blah, blah. And you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Do you? Yes. Okay. So innate within us is a need to connect, and innate within us is also a realization that we have to do it through manifest, through this form, through form on this planet. We give something of the planet to the Creator. We give something of the planet, the crops, the grains, the animals, the people, right? It's very, very deep. When we were in Peru, I learned two things. Well, I learned one thing before Peru, but it was fun to learn it from the natives. There's a thing that they do when they eat. So Mother Earth is, forgive me, those who speak Spanish, Pachamama. So when you're eating, you give a little bite to Pachamama. You give a little substance back to say, thank you, Mother Earth, for what I've been given. And then we were traveling, and I was talking with one of the guys about their religions. Of course, I'm always going to ask about that. There was a predominant faith that they knew they needed to connect with God, and they did not feel God could hear them. They just didn't feel it. So they would select two prime children that were smart, that were beautiful, that were radiant, a boy and a girl. And they would pick them about 5-ish, and then they would let them travel throughout the whole country. And it wasn't just Peru at that time. There was a country of people. And they would travel, and they would go and visit all the people to hear what they needed. What do you need? What do you need? What's wrong with you guys? What do you need? Do you need more water, more rain, more grain? And they would try to understand the problems of all the indigenous beings. And then at a point prior to puberty, I believe, these two children were killed in a very ceremonious way so that they could take the issues to Creator. They had been filled with all the things people needed, and the only way these people knew to send the message to God was to send the children to God. And the children, it was a great honor, and it was a great honor to the families. But do you see the links that we go to connect? We know that we need to connect, and we do it in the world of manifest. We do it with something physical. This has been our collective soul journey on the planet. So, say I got it. Okay. So, spiritual connections for us. We now, as metaphysical Christians, y'all out there too, we connect through meditation, don't we? We meditate and we feel spirit and we connect and we do our healings and our readings, and we're actually bringing spirit into our world, aren't we? We're connecting and we're feeling it. So we do it spiritually. Then we've now been learning how to see God in other people in our daily lives. We've been learning how to see God when someone irritates us. We've been learning how to see God for connection in the problems. Do you hear what I'm saying? So now we're trying to make this a people-to-people connection, right? So we see God in the problems, the situations. We ask for divine intervention, and we ask for clarity, resolution. Right? That's what we're trying to do. And we also have learned to connect in prayer. Father, Mother, God, ask for what you want. God said, Jesus said, ask for what you want. We need this, I would like this, and thy will be done, this or greater. Not my will, but thy will. Are you getting good at it? I will confess to you, I catch myself. Really, I do. I am watching a football game, and our boys aren't doing good. And I want to pray. But I catch myself immediately and say, you cannot do that, Cindy. You cannot pray that our team wins. You cannot pray that those boys get it together. You have to pray for divine intervention for all the young men on the field, highest healing for all, and thy will be done, God. And that is the prayer that makes it out of my consciousness. But my initial prayer is, God, they need you. And there's a heck of a lot of praying going on those games, I should tell you that. But normally they're not, thy will be done. So watch your prayers too. Watch that you do this or greater. I can speak my truth, but this or greater. Thy will be done. You see the difference? So we are learning to bring spiritual connections into the meditations. We're bringing them into our relationships, and we're bringing them into our prayers, using the energy to create. But once we have manifested, once it's here, how do we include God in that? How do we include God in the manifest? So, when we create with God, we use our energy plus God energy, and a creation occurs. God, flow through me, help me do this, thank you, blah, 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 blah. Now, for most of us, after that occurs, we say, I got it, God. And then we use our own energy to sustain it. And then it becomes difficult and hard and challenging. Do you hear what I'm saying? Okay. So, God in me, God plus me, I can originate. But if I take God out of the continuation of it, it's me sustaining it. How many of you guys have done that with your relationships or marriages? God, I need. Oh, thank you, God, this is a perfect person for me. I got it, God. And you forget to say, God, show me how to understand this person that you brought to me. God, I'm having a problem here. Help me. Do you hear? We can relate to that. We can also relate to that in our workplace. We want the perfect job. And then I got it, God. And we'd forget that it was created with that energy. So we keep feeding it. So God flowing through me in that consciousness will bring me what I desire and the energy that I direct to the level I am capable of receiving. Is that what you want? Okay. When we allow a co-partnership with God, me and God, and I keep God in the manifest, and I keep God with me, and I keep God in everything I'm doing in this physical form, it expands the possibilities greater than I of myself can conceive or receive. Because my partner is behind the scenes, moving and juking and shaking things up so that what I need comes to me when I need it. Now, how many of you have lived in that space where the miracle after miracle after miracle, how the heck did that happen? How did that happen? I had nothing to do with it, but it's exactly what I needed, and I have been asking my partner, God, okay? So, when I can move into co-partnering with God, I become one with the abundance of the universe. So in creation, I give my 10% of energy. God gives 90% of the energy. It is created. In tithing, the concept of tithing, we give the tithe back in matter, in form, in manifest, to a spiritual space, and we give, the tithe is 10%. We'll talk about that in a minute, but just follow with me. If we give 10% back, how much do you get to keep? 90. So I invest 10 and I get to keep 90. This is the energy of tithing. We're using the energy of God to flow through us, but we take the matter, something in this world. I'm sorry for saying matter again, y'all. I got to train myself. We take the manifest, the form, and we hand it back to say, thank you, my partner. Thank you, my partner. So tithing is giving back to God in manifest form. Got it? Concept of tithing is this. Historically, remember, you're walking with me now. Historically, it has been to give to the church that you are spiritually supporting. And we all know the stories. Metaphysically, it is. And I did that. I loved, whenever I went to a church, I would, love to give my tithe. Metaphysically, it is expanded to tithing, as we understand it, is to acknowledge the food of God coming to you. So we give our tithe to the place, the people, the situation where we were fed. If I am being spiritually fed and you reminded me of God and, oh my God, thank you, I might hand a tithe to you. Do you understand? Because I'm acknowledging the food that you brought to me. So tithing is about form going back in to acknowledge the God presence. Tithing acknowledges the food you received. It acknowledges that God was touching you. And when you tithe, you are investing your energy in that movement. You're investing your energy in that movement, and you're wanting that energy to be sustained so the presence of God is continued. So people will say, I'll tithe to the charity. That's need. So giving to need of your tithe is saying, I want to feel like I'm God. I'm bigger and better than them. I want to give them money, and I'm hoping they continue to be in need so I can continue this relationship. Give to need. Give to need. Please give to need. You cannot outgive God, as Edwin says. But the tithe is something between you and your partner. Do you hear what I'm saying? It's a precious space between you and God. So ask God where to put your tithe. Ask God where, if you're not guided to or haven't acknowledged food, or you can say, Spirit, I have this. I need to know. Tithing is acknowledging God in your manifest, giving your manifest to support the presence of God in this reality. So, the presence of God in this reality. In the history, you never went to a shaman in the Native American unless you took a gift. You didn't go to the priest unless you had a gift. The energy of the support of the material helps the continuation of the presence of that God consciousness in this reality. The bricks and mortars of churches, the messages, the concepts, all of this is being supported in this reality by the contribution of the of the manifest that you're handing back. Okay? You can't, okay, here we go. What does that say? By doing that, you're saying, I want you to keep teaching. You fed me. I want you to feed somebody else. We're aligning with the message, and we're asking that it continue. You guys with me? Okay. Here's the deal. You cannot force someone to partner with God. This is a personal, individual mission. We all know stories where tithe has been used as a condition of your faithfulness. We all know stories. We are even aware of churches, even in our world today, where once you become a member, you are obligated to tithe the 10% of your salary. I know churches not in our area where they actually talk to your boss, they get your records, and they know what you make, and they're expecting 10% of your salary, and you're not in good standing unless you contribute it. We know all the stories. That is not partnering with God, guys. That's agreeing to a condition of a religion, which is great to do. But this partnering has to come from your heart. It has to be a situation of you and God. In the 90s, we were at the other church, and there was this sweet little couple that came in. They had a baby girl. She could sit up, so she was not an infant. She couldn't walk, so whatever age that is. And I didn't know them. They didn't know me from Adam. They came in one day, and they said, we have a problem. We're Catholic, and we're really Catholic. They believed in purgatory, and they had taken their child to be baptized in the Catholic Church. And the priest looked them up and said, I will not baptize your child until you bring your tithe up to date. So they were denied. And they said, we're afraid. And it's like, Yeah. Will you baptize her? Of course. So the next Sunday, in the middle of our Sunday service, we got that little baby girl, and I gave her the best Catholic baptism I could. Christen her, use the words that they would have liked, but still in my faith, it still was in my faith. And they were so, so, so happy. This young couple was thrilled because they believed the Catholic Church. They lived the Catholic Church, and they did not want their baby to go to purgatory. Or limbo. What is it? Purgatory, limbo? Whatever the purgatory, where the babies go. So, do you see? Tithe should not be something, and a true tithe is not something that's levied against you like a tax. It's something that you participate with. So, we've all heard stories of the negative. I could talk for hours about that. But we've also heard stories of the successes and the reason for tithing. So I'm going to remind you of just two. There was a gentleman many years ago who wanted to start a department store. And he made a commitment. He said, I'm going to start this business, God, and I'm doing it with you. And the profit, 10% of the profit, is going back to you regardless. And that store was Lord and Taylor. And it was called Lord because Lord was his partner. Yeah. And you know how expansive it got. And once he was dead, which is probably many years ago, who knows what happened to his followers that took over. But in the beginning, it was what kept him going. There's another woman who's very open about her tithing experiences, and that's Oprah. Have y'all heard her? She will tell you what's up. She was a young girl, and you all know her story better than I, in an unfortunate situation. She wasn't fortunate. There was no fortunate energy for her to get up and get going. But she tithed always. She knew the tithing principle. And through that, she could feel she was partnering with God, and that carved her path to the success that she has today. And she's always very open and verbal about it. My story is like hers. I was not fortunate. And I believed it. I came this way, guys. I know the power of tithing. I know it in my heart and soul. The very first book, Spirit said, write a book on tithing. So I did. There are words coming through me. But it's something that is so much a part of me, and it helped me not feel alone. And when I was young, I was probably 19, I was dating a young man, and he got my checkbook out. And he looked at my checkbook, and then he looked at my passbook for my savings. It's probably both in my purse. And he said, girl, you have like 200 in savings, and you have almost 2,000 in your checking? What's up with that? Why didn't you put that to savings? You're not thinking right. And I went, no, that's tithe money. And trust me, $2,000 of tithe money was several years of tithe, because when you're making $400 a month, it takes a while. I was back in the day, guys, ancient history. But I wouldn't spend it. I would set it in my checking account, and I would leave it there. It covered my overdrafts every now and then, but I never spent it. And there was one point where the amount of tithe I had equaled my charge card debt. The thought never entered my mind. That was not my money. My partner had to be there with me every step of my walk. If I had not had this faith of walking with God, I would be a secretary somewhere, because that is what the world told me to do. You're not that great. You can't go to college because you can't afford it. You're not that awesome. Just go be a secretary and don't complain. That's where I would have been. But Spirit picked me up and took me and told me what to do, and put me in places where I had to work hard for a lot of years. But then they'd move me to something else because I learned what I needed to learn. And I was walking with my partner. And when InterQuest was started on nothing, don't you know we tithed? Yes, we did. And I would always turn to Spirit. We're in trouble, God. That's activating the tithe. We're in trouble. Hello, you're my partner. Bring on that 90% because I need it now. So a woman came to me, 100 years ago. And she said, Cindy, I want to be just like you. I want to do everything you do. I said, okay, great. And she said, I'm going to go to school and learn to be a Rohan therapist. I'm going to go to the school you went to. And I said, great. I didn't tell her I didn't say anything to her. But she will not find my footprints there. She's going to find my footprints with God. In the sands of difficulties, in the sands of accomplishment, in the sands of, can this even happen? That's where my feet are going to be. And the school was a part of the journey, and the training was a part of the journey. And I didn't go to Rohan Therapy. I didn't go to that school. Spirit picked me up and said, you're going to school, and we're going to pay for it. I said, great, you pay, I'm going. Had not a dime to my name to pay for it. I went, everything was paid. It's miracle after miracle after miracle. And I'm telling you guys, you can say, well, you're not Oprah, Cindy. I'm pretty bright on the other side. There is a lot of celebration around the energy and the accomplishments of the little things. And I may not have touched as many people, but I have done what was asked of me. You guys gotten it? Okay. So, Spirit said to me one day, I wish I could find the exact quote because it was quite beautiful. I was being called in on the carpet. Why don't you teach them, Cindy, about tithing? Why don't you teach them? Why do you withhold from them this power? You treat them like children, and yet they are children of God. And I said, well, they got a lot of wounds. They got wounds from the controlling of churches. They got wounds deep in their soul, and we need to heal their wounds. That was my answer, a deep breath. You need to do it. And I have periodically done tithing workshops. About once a year I'll do it. I don't push my book, never have. Read it if you want to, don't if you don't. But it is a reality. This is a way to take Spirit back into. Spirit comes into our manifest. We're giving our manifest back to Spirit. Why do you think Jesus had to come in physical form? Why? Because we operate in this dimension. And Jesus had to take the light through physical form back to God. Why did he have to do that? Because physical had to go back to Spirit. Do you understand? The circle has to be created. Okay, so where do we start? Here we go. Now you can breathe. Where do we start? If you are a consistent giver, that means we have a consistent giving program where you've signed up to give X number every month. And we love that. Thank you, by the way. If you are a consistent giver, I want you to add up all that you consistently give. And now determine what % that is of your income. And then I want you to turn that to tithing. I say I want you to do what you want to do. But let me speak freely. An offering is where you are inspired, you have spiritual food, there's love and joy. A tithe is where you're partnering with God. You're expecting guidance. You're expecting oneness. You are expecting it. So consistent giver, if we change it to, okay, well, I'm tithing. I may be tithing 0.035%, but I'm tithing 0.035%, God. What's your interest rate on your savings account? 0.035%. I'm tithing 0.5%, God. But I'm going to call it tithing now because I want to partner with you. I'm going to start where you are. Do you hear what I'm saying? Start where you are. A percentage, and the percentage, you should not be comfortable with your percentage. You shouldn't. You should be uncomfortable. Okay, I'll make it 1. Okay. You should be uncomfortable because we're giving energy back. We're giving energy back. If you're comfortable, you're compliant, and you're not going to expand. And working to the 10% is easy. I guarantee you, if you start tithing and you start working with any percentage, you will reach 10 quickly because you'll be so excited. It works. You will get excited. It's amazing. So it's not about being comfortable. It's about being committed to your partner. So, all right, number 2, love offering. When you move it to tithe, everything shifts. It becomes like, oh, God, I can't wait to do this. I cannot wait to write that check. I cannot wait to have that debit come out of my account. Yeah, I love this. And you bless it, and you're so excited because you are now partnering with God. Do you hear the difference? Oh, thank you for the spiritual gift that you gave me. I'm going to give you my love offering, which is fabulous. Thank you very much for doing that. Tithe is, okay, God, we're going to partner that. Yeah, I'm giving it there because I get so much out of there. Difference, right? My dad and I always disagreed on everything. And my mom's the one that was wanted always to tithe, and my dad wouldn't do it. When he started getting older, he started to write a tithe check on his Social Security. And he did it for like the last 5 or 6 years of his life. And he wrote to InterQuest. Never came to InterQuest, but he wrote to InterQuest. And we weren't online, couldn't see us. But my mom said the minute the check came for Social Security, that was the first check he wrote. Because he wanted to connect with Spirit and he wanted to invest in this church. And of course, we'd been around for a while at that point. So he saw the commitment and he saw the service work we were doing. He saw the love that came through this church, even though he and I did not agree on the world. But he could see the love of the faith. So there is an excitement. There's an excitement when you're partnering with God. And you know, if let's say you're doing great right now. Let's say you're humming along and you're like, okay, Cindy, oh, okay. But you're going to start a secondary business. Maybe you think about Lord and Taylor. Maybe you say, okay, God, I'm going to start my secondary business. So the profits of my business, 10% of my profits going to you. 10% going to you. And if you have a loss that month, you go, hey, God, 10% of the profits going to you. We need to get some profit in here. And you work. And you work it. You don't have to start all at once. Do you hear me? You don't have to start because that's not partnering. That's like saying, okay, it's a law now, let me just do it. We have to have conscious participation with it. Okay. All right, you choose where you start. You choose the percentage that allows you to increase as God increases your wealth. Percentage lets you grow. I landed at 15% many years ago. I've kind of stuck there. So I'm comfortable with that or uncomfortable with that. I'm at 15% of the gross of everything as my tithe. And that's 30 years out. But it's good for me. So, but you work on the calculator of what works for you and start wherever you want, wherever you and God agree. Over time, you'll be glad, like I said, to increase it. You choose if you want to try it. You choose the parameters. You and God discuss it because it's partnership. And then you activate the tithe. Don't get complacent. Tithers out there, I love you, man. You guys keep the doors open. You realize that. The tithers keep the doors open. They're bringing that energy into the church so we can continue. We do service work. We do healings and readings, and that will not pay the bills, guys. It's the contributions and the tithing that does. So grateful. Don't get complacent with your tithing and forget to activate it. Because sometimes you got to go, God, hey, I'm tithing here, and I'm needing a special little influx. You call it forth. You guys got it? So it actually grows and with you. All right, everybody good with this so far? We're going to talk about giving and receiving this month just so we can understand energy, because we're asked for a lot in this world, are we not? And how do we give that little bit back? How do we give that little bit back? All right, so let's take this in for just a moment. So if you just put your feet on the floor and just see a beautiful column of light come over you. Feel the love of God moving into you. And I want you to feel that beautiful connection of your spirit with God. The love in your heart. And for this moment, I want you just to feel the oneness. Feel the love of Jesus Christ by your side. And allow yourself just to look at your world. Is there anything in this world of manifest, any space or place that you would like God more active? Just be with it, see it. And now feel your gratitude. Father, Mother God, thank you for providing. Thank you for guiding. And help me know what my next step is in expanding my journey, my walk with you. And feel the love pouring through you. And we thank you, Father. And so it is. Gently open your eyes. You know we have a Reiki train. And you know that the people that send Reiki to you are there every single day. There is not one day that Reiki does not go out. It goes out on Saturday and Sunday and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And these people get your requests and they send you Reiki. So I wanted you to join me in offering just a small token of tithe to them. And so if I call your name, would you just come up? That is tithing. Say, yeah, God.